Welcome, greetings everybody. Welcome to the Art Lexcia podcast. With me, Wesley Pepper. This is episode 225. And we're actually recording this during the latter part of the Easter long weekend. So I guess happy Easter if you're into all of that. Today, just before I get to today's guest, just a very quick note on Gallery 360 Africa. For those that know that I've been, that app that we've been building, we're actually wrapping it up really soon. I'll definitely be putting out a notice regarding that probably later on in this week. So on all my socials, so look forward to that. Today we're covering the 67 blankets for Mandela in 2026, I almost said 2025. And we're talking to the brand manager, Lyton Lefevre. Hey, my brother, I'm sure I butchered that last bit again. Apologies for that. But
No
firstly,
problem.
good morning. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to me. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Wesley?
Yeah, it's a nice
Are you?
morning.
Are you?
It's a
Yeah,
nice,
it actually
nice comfortable morning.
feels like a Sunday, not like a Monday. I should be at the
Mm,
office getting ready
yeah,
for our big event happening in.
minus all the traffic on the roads though. And there's no school
Well,
children.
yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure getting to work, huh? Pleasure getting to work. Um,
Mm.
as you said, I've been involved with the initiative and the act
Yeah, let's start
for
with it.
12 years now.
That's as a brand manager, correct?
A brand and marketing, yeah. So I'm in charge of most of the stuff that you see out there at activations or installations that we do a lot of at major shopping centers, trade fairs, stuff like that. And then obviously we do our very big installations on school fields, rugby fields, university fields. And those are the very big blankets, which I think most people have heard about before, are the ones that we gun for Guinness Book of Records. But it's not just about the record; it's about when we strike, what we call strike, we break down, and those blankets then get packed up and they find themselves on beds, and that's our objective, is to number one, showcase them to not only South Africa but to the world, what is done by what we call our nitwits, which is a registered name. We don't call them
Yeah.
crocheters or knitters, we call them nitwits. And everything is done on a it's a charity. It's an NPO, probably one of the longest running in the country. And to date, we've probably handed out about 170,000 blankets, maybe more, uh, not only nationally but globally, because we have
Yeah.
ambassadors right around the world, stretching from Italy through to Ireland, all the way around the world. And then we have a second activation, which actually keeps the public in South Africa also equally warm in the winter months, and that is our secret scarf mission, which we do in July of every year on Tata Madiba's birthday.
Yeah, yeah, Lennon, sorry about that, man. There was again another bloody connection problem.
Okay.
Um, yeah, man. Hey, it's so boring, nah? And I
Yeah.
thought everything. Anyway, look, man, I caught the loss, but when you were explaining about the global, with the networks placed all over the world.
Correct.
So I caught that last, but so can we, um, I was actually supposed to ask this question in the beginning. Can we just for those that are not aware of what 67 Blankets is all about? I mean, you mentioned that is one of the biggest organizations with regards to that. So can you just break it down just for those that don't have a clue about what's it all about, please?
Sure, no problem at all. 67 Blankets was started in the year 2013, and it was actually a challenge that was given to Carolyn Styen, who is the wife of the late Mr. Doe Styen from Styen City,
Yeah,
and they were having a lunch, very casual lunch up at home on uh, in December of 2013, and Zelda Lagrange, who used to be Tata Madiba's personal PA, was at the lunch, and the banter was light, the conversation was light. There was nothing heavy about anything. And Carolyn popped up and said, it's at Madiba's birthday next year, and we advocate you do 67 minutes for
yeah,
in tribute to him for the 67 years he spent against the struggle for to have the apartheid dismantled. And Zelda, tongue in cheek, turned around to Carolyn and said, "Oh, for goodness sake, just go and make 67 blankets and hand them out to a community or people in need, and you would have done your thing for Madiba." Now, the Steyn family have had a very close connection to Tata Madiba.
mm,
When he came out of prison, he was very friendly with Mr. Dostane, and he needed that privacy and that type of thing, and he stayed on at the Saxon Hotel, and that's where he got a lot of time to reflect and spend time. But it still wasn't enough, a big enough wall yet to
yeah,
keep the media and the
yeah.
people away from him. So he built him a home up in his private game reserve called Shambhala, and that's where he wrote his book Long Walk to Freedom. But getting back to the beginning, so Carolyn, being Carolyn, said, "Yes, no problem at all. I'll have them done in no time whatsoever." And after the lunch, she was in bed that evening, and she thought to herself, "Help! I don't even have 67 friends, let alone 67 blankets. How am I going to make that in a matter of 5 months?" So
Yeah,
at the middle of the morning, I think it was at about 3 o'clock in the morning, she put out a thing on Facebook and phoned and said, "Help! I need 67 blankets by July 18th, the following year, 2014." And switched the phone off and forgot about it. And in the morning, she woke up and she was absolutely inundated. And if I tell you the goodwill, or goodwill, as we've coined the phrase, that was on Facebook about people pitching up at the house with finished blankets, and within a matter of time, 67 blankets for Nelson Mandela went from a lunchtime there into a global movement of which it is today. In South Africa alone, we have close on 19,000 members and growing on a daily basis. And, when we have the big activations and we have the big show and tell, which is our big blankets, we did the Mandela's face when he turned 100. Uh,
yeah,
you
yeah. I
saw
remember that one.
you remember that?
Mm,
And when Springboks won the World Cup again,
mm,
we did a huge blanket that covered 2 rugby fields of the actual Springbok emblem. We had all the
mm,
team there, and that we worked hand in hand with Gift of the Givers, and all those
mm,
blankets were then sent around the world and to proper beneficiaries. We worked with
mm.
Sia and Rachel Kulisi on a few of their beneficiaries. So our blankets have really, really, really travelled.
Yeah,
And the most important thing, and the most, part of our mandate not only to ourselves but to our public, is that blankets are no good in storage facilities or in garages
Yeah.
or in cupboards of people. They must be on beds, and they must be keeping
Mm.
people warm during the winter months. And that's where we always come back to that. Um, that mandate of ours, and
Mm.
that is what is sort of leading up to another event that we will be having
Yeah. On
on
the
the
18th.
18th of April this
Um.
year. It's
Okay. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, London. Just one or two points. Again,
sure.
man, like it's always impressive to talk to you guys from the 67 blankets, just to see the scale, of the project. It's always impressive. I mean, you mentioned on how many nitwits you have, and like, I mean, I've spoken to various members of the team, and as I said, the scale is impressive, and that's notwithstanding the, like you mentioned, that two rugby fields, size blanket. And I mean, that's like 200 meters by 100 meters. That's substantial, man. I mean, the organization, or
Yes,
organizing, is impressive. Just before we get to the actual gig on the on the 18th, can you just comment on I mean, you, as a brand manager, you work with the organization, with organizing team, and I said it's quite impressive. So, are you guys all based? Everybody working on the project is all based in South Africa. Can you just give us just an overview of what it's like to work, from? Are you all based, all work in different satellite stations across the country and so forth?
we do. We do. We have what we call national and international ambassadors that have been appointed. They apply for the position after a
Mm.
certain period of time being with 67 blankets. So they know the ins and outs, and, what the do's and the don'ts. And then they become ambassadors of their local areas, e.g. for Gqeberha or Western Cape or Natal, like stuff. And those ambassadors we've had for a very long time, and
Yeah.
they are real ambassadors. And then what happens is that the people in the area tend to fall underneath them. It's not a fixed structure. As I said, we are an MPO, so it's all done on a voluntary basis, and the blankets are given out voluntarily. Those nitwits that fall under those particular ambassadors will go out and do activations on their own when they do it through church groups, they do it through
Mm.
old age homes, they do it through orphanages, just like we do up here. We're very involved with CHOC. We've been out to the children's cancer, to their two homes here in Johannesburg, one here in by the zoo in Johannesburg, and another one in Soweto. And we did a whole blanket hand over there. We're very involved with another group out in, you might have heard of them, where they take care of babies that are wards of the state from
Yeah.
Krugersdorp.
Yes.
It's called Hopelands. We've been out there,
Yeah.
and we've done quite a numerous visits there with blankets and supplies, because they're always in need of, obviously, being babies, tiny babies.
Mm.
They have different needs, you know what I'm saying? And then we have a global movement, and then our spider webs sort of spreads further, with the head office being in South Africa, and it goes up. We've got a whole new group up in Zimbabwe that's just been
Okay.
formed. We've got
Interesting.
an ambassador. Beg your pardon?
No, no, I said
We've
it's
got
interesting. No, sorry.
Yes.
Continue.
And we go across the seas. We've got ambassadors in Washington. We've got another group in another part of America. A family there, a mother and two daughters. And we go on up into the Europes. We work very closely with the ambassadors' wives that are stationed in South Africa, in Pretoria particularly, because
Okay.
the ambassadors ambassadors
Mhm.
are very, very busy men and
Yeah.
ladies, and so their spouses get involved, and they form an arm of our organization, and they're called the expats, and they make
Okay.
hundreds hundreds of blankets while they're here, and then generally they're only here for a couple of months, and then they go back to another country. They posted to another country, so we're very blessed to have that that association and have that gravitas that is, as one head of the
Mm,
ambassador group leaves, the
mm,
next person takes over and just continues
yeah.
with that type of thing.
Yeah.
Then we have in England, we have a very big representation in England
Yeah.
with one of our ambassadors from South Africa who's relocated to England. We are aligned with the Barron's Court project, which is a project in England run by a guy by the name of Michael Angus, who
Mm,
has a phenomenal setup, and he has a home, and he does blankets, and he does food, and he does everything for the rough sleepers of
mm,
the streets. And he feeds
mm.
them and stuff like that. And 67 Blankets is very involved there. And across Europe, we have in Italy, we have in Germany as well. So the spider web does certainly go out very,
Yeah.
very, very,
Impressive.
very wide indeed. Yeah.
Mm.
And then, of course,
Yeah. No. The. Sorry. Continue.
no, and of course, South Africa is the hub. And
Mm.
as I said, it's going towards its 13th year. And I think that is an incredible achievement
Yeah. It is.
for an NPO, a company, a non-profit organization that relies solely on our donations. We work very closely with corporate companies. We get donations on an annual basis, which help because we've got a saying that says we have thousands of knitwits that have the wool but not the wool. So it
Mm.
becomes a problem, because we're an MPO. We can't put our hands in our pockets and say, "Well, here's 100,000. Go and buy wool and go and make blankets," because we don't have that. We don't have that facility. But with the generosity of our corporates, we are very lucky that they make donations directly to 67 Blankets. It enables our cogs to carry on turning, and then we in turn are in partnership with two wool manufacturers, Kismet Yarns and
Yeah.
the wool
Yeah.
shop. And
Yeah.
they are also one of our sponsors, and they give us a very big allocation of wool as part of their CSI initiative every year. And then what we do is we distribute that wool to our groups in different areas.
Sure.
They make up the blanket, and the blankets get distributed like that. So it's almost like a continual chain reaction that carries on every year. Sometimes the dynamics change, sometimes the optics change.
Ah.
We get
Ah.
we get different corporate identities, corporates coming on board, and we get some corporates that are going through economic problems.
Ah.
And so, but we always have an interest in 67 Blankets. And, we are
Yeah.
underpinned and affiliated with the Nelson Mandela Foundation. So we get a lot of support there. We get a lot of support from Graça Michelle, who was the late Tata Madiba's wife.
Ah.
And we've gone out of our way. We've sidestepped away from blankets occasionally. We put out a plea once when the hurricane hit Mozambique from Zimbabwe and flooded the whole of
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Beira.
Yes. A few. Yeah. Yeah. A
You
few
rem-
years ago. Yeah. I remember that. But
you remember that, and
yeah.
it was so amazing to see the 67 Blankets people in particular, and the public, not to forget the public, put down their
Mm.
needles and go out and do fundraising. And it was incredible. I think we got over 20,000 nappies alone. And one of our biggest sponsors, who have been with us for close to 12 years now, is Studford Van Lines, who
Mm.
then collected a garage full, and I'm talking about a garage that takes 18 cars.
Wow.
It was full from the floor to the roof of non-perishable foods, clothing, you name it,
Wow.
anything. And we went into shopping centres and we filled shopping trolleys and we brought it back. And then Studford's came
Uh,
with a Pantechnicon and a trailer attached to it and filled it to the roof. And we took it down to Mozambique and we drove it up, right up into the middle, into the field. And we worked with Doctors Without Borders. There were newborn babies that hadn't been fed. We had formulas. We had everything. So we are quite diverse in that way, but our prime objective is obviously blankets and
Um,
scarves.
London, London, I have to ask this question. Because like I mentioned, I spoke to some of the various members. In fact, I interviewed yeah, a few of the other people behind the team, and what I'm interested to know is like, I mean, that thing of with supplying food to the guys in Mozambique, that is a huge effort, and it's borderline like what Gift of the Givers does. So is there, I mean, being the brand manager, are you guys looking to do more of that type of work in the future? Um, you know, trying to tackle global, well, domestic issues and stuff like that. Sort of like Gift of the Givers, is that
We, our mandate and on and the provision of us getting an MPO and functioning the way we do is to focus on the two primary things, which are blankets and scarves. But if we
Mm,
in any way can get on board with let's say, a corporate that we could link with and uplift a community where the blankets
mm,
serve a certain purpose, like, obviously keeping people warm and stuff like that. And if we had a corporate like Tiger Brands or AVI,
mm,
somebody like that, we would li- certainly entertain the idea of sitting around a table and doing a joint
interesting.
activation. Sure. We do a lot of activations. We're doing one quite soon in Mall of Africa up here, which is the biggest mall in Southern Africa, I think. And it's a different demographic, and we're going to be doing some very interesting stuff there alongside blankets as well. 2 years ago we did a very, very beautiful installation in Brooklyn Mall, which was done
Mm,
with the Fashion Academy, and that was upscaling the youth of how to. You don't always have to have the finest silks and fabrics to make something really, really incredible, and that we gave them bags of scraps of wool and different types of things, and it was quite incredible what they actually created. That so much so that shopping centre won 9 retail awards for the best display in
oh
the
wow.
centre court. Yeah, and
Okay, interesting.
it is very interesting because, and
Mm,
we would welcome. I mean, it would, we have people that have. We took a lot of the product called EPUP down to Mozambique. It's a very nutritional
yeah,
type.
yeah, yeah. I'm familiar with it.
You're familiar with it. We took a lot of that.
Mhm.
We were donated that. We took that down to Mozambique because that only requires hot water or lukewarm water
Uh,
even,
uh,
and you are able to fill a belly. So we're not adverse to that, and
uh,
and if we can make a difference in the lives of
you will.
of we will. We definitely will. We
Yeah.
don't have a closed door policy when it comes to if, for instance, somebody had to
Uh,
that manufactures something like EPUB comes to us and says,
uh,
"Let's do a massive drive. We'll put in a couple of million rands
uh,
worth of hardware product, and can you match it with a blanket? And we'll attach it to a blanket, and we could do something like that. We are very open
Interesting.
to keeping our communities and keeping our people on the
Uh,
ground, especially the people
uh,
that have been sidestepped, so to speak.
uh, yeah,
Blankets.
marginalized, disenfranchised. Yeah.
And then
You know what, right? Sorry.
no problem.
Um, Actually, I feel like talking a little bit more about this because, but just for time's sake, and we are here to talk about the show on the 18th, and I do want to get to that. But just closing points on that. That's actually quite interesting, man. Just one last question
Sure.
on that because I feel I just have to wrap it up, so it doesn't like just hang in the air. Uh, are you guys being approached to help out by regular working class South Africans to say that maybe 67 Black could come here, could come there? And if so, is there a channel which people can use to contact you regarding
Sure.
that?
Absolutely. Wesley, I'll tell you, we work very closely, just so that you and your listeners understand, we work very, very closely with a lot of schools. And
Okay.
some of the schools, the criteria for entering grade 8 is that they don't come to the school and get it gratis or free or whatever. It's all initiative driven. Okay. It's teaching a craft, teaching a, a girl child how to create a craft that she can pass down to her next
Yeah.
generation, to her children and
Yeah.
whatever, but make a meaningful distribution during her high school years. And I'll give you an example. In one of them is Gqeberha High School, Parkdown Girls,
Mm,
Dayton College, Kailami. What they do is they have to buy the wool in grade
mm,
8, and they have to learn how to crochet. And then when they come into school and are accepted, they are then have to show what work they do, and then what
mm.
that becomes part of the curriculum, and they start making blankets.
Yeah.
Just for instance, Jeppy's school have got a challenge on at the moment, and they will be handing over 670 blankets to us in the very, very near future, which will probably go to the 18th event. And that's
Yeah.
very exciting stuff, because
Mm,
that's all self-funded. That's done
mm,
by the youth of today. It's, away from the electronic media, away from the phones and away from the computers and
mm,
stuff like
mm,
that. They're actually using their hands and using their crafts, and
mm.
they've donated thousands between the schools. We've even got a primary school, a Norwood Primary School, where the little ones, I mean, they only up to grade six and seven. They're tiny, and they sit there in
Mm,
the
mm.
quadrangle, crocheting away,
That's
and then it's
wow.
so reassuring, and it's it's nice to know, because a lot of the children that we teach, especially the primary school teachers, most of the parents work during the day,
Uh, uh,
and
uh,
we have a saying for them. That's why we try and keep them back at school afterwards. But some of
uh.
the parents prefer them to go home. We call them keyhole children. They have a lanyard with a key to where they live, and then they go home and they do their homework, and then they do their crafting, and that
Wow, interesting.
keeps them safe, keeps them self-contained, gives
Keeps
them
them
an
off the phone. Yeah.
yeah, keeps them off the streets as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we achieved that very successfully with this particular primary school.
That's interesting. Um, yeah. I feel we can talk the rest of the recording just on that because there's so many things to unpack there. So many, and it's very interesting that you guys also targeting primary school,
Mm.
hand-eye coordination. There's so many things to unpack there. But let me just let me just bring it back to the show of the 18th. So the theme it's around World Creativity and Innovation Day. Can you
Yeah.
just explain to us what's that all about
Yeah.
and
So
what will you guys be doing on the day?
okay, so every year we try and do one big activation, and we call it a big activation. Like last year, we went down to Gqeberha. We went to a different province. The logistics were quite difficult, but we pulled it off. With the help of corporates as well, and so Studderford's transported thousands and thousands of blankets down to Gqeberha, and so this year we decided to do something completely different because you see, what happens is all our people around the world and around the country donate their blankets, and then all of their blankets get. I think you've seen some of the pictures. They get assembled
Yeah.
onto either a big field or at a school or at a function uh, where it can accommodate all the blankets, and what happens is people don't get they take their families and their friends and their children and everything, but then the blankets are so far away that they can't really get to appreciate them and see them. So
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
this
The
year
final
what
product. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So this year, with the generosity of City Centre, which is the retail arm of Styen City, out here in Four Ways, have got a courtyard in the middle, a very big courtyard, and then it's surrounded by restaurants and retail outlets and
Oh,
stuff like that. And we're going to cover the whole of that courtyard in blankets. And we've asked the Nitwits, we have been doing so for a couple of months now, to just do what makes your head spin. Get creative. So bunnies on it. So just
mm,
get totally innovative and creative with the blankets themselves. And what we're doing is we have a loan to us from Hyde Park Corner. We had last year's activation. We did it with the dogs with Woodrock, and we
okay.
have a 3 meter 3 meter crocheted dog. And not a lot of people know this, but Nelson Mandela's one of his biggest loves in life was his Ridgeback, and
Okay.
its
I
name
know that.
and its dog and its name was Gompo. And
Okay.
we have this massive 3 meter crocheted brown Ridgeback dog that we will use as the centerpiece and as a token of respect towards him on the
Mm,
day. But then we're creating pathways around the blanket so that the public and we are targeting the whole of the people that live in the village as well. All the schools in the area are coming. We've got 3 schools with their marimba bands coming, and it's a day of celebration, showing the blankets. And then in our pop-up, we've got a pop-up section. We've got 10 stalls of the groups that we have in Johannesburg, and they're all going to be creating their own style. So it's going to be very interesting. Maybe if you're free on the 18th, come and have a look. So some have gone for a traditional African theme, others have gone for a heart theme. So they've got these
mm.
pop-up gazebos, and they're going to be creating these amazing pop-up stalls. We've got wool retailers. It's going to be quite the most incredible. It's going to be like a big expo fair of blankets and
Yeah,
scarves.
sounds like it.
And
Mm,
then we
mm,
will strike on the evening of the 18th. Those blankets then will get taken back to our showroom. I mean, to our warehouse, which we've just built in Dainfern. and
Mm,
they then get distributed because April is the month of distribution, so that they're in time for the winter months ahead of us.
mm, mm, mm,
There's a lot
mm.
to see, a lot
Sounds like it.
for families. There's a lot of food
Mm,
vendors. There's a lot of coffee vendors, stuff like that. A lot of fun days. It's a big fun day. Bring a
mm.
family, bring everybody, and admission is
Yeah, and you
free.
say, yeah, I was gonna ask about the admission. You say this is taking place at Styen City at the city center, correct?
Correct, and admission is free. So all you have to do is go on to Quicket, look up. 67 Blankets Day of Innovation and Creativity, and it'll take you straight to the path where you can click on, and you'll get a free code, and that code you can show at the gate, and that will take you straight up to the city centre where there's ample parking, ample security,
Mm.
everything. And come in and enjoy
And what
the
time? And what time
9
will
o'clock,
everything start will kick off? 9 o'clock in the
about
morning.
about 10 from 10 till about 12. About 10
Okay.
till about 12, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and
And
as you say, you can.
there will be like paused areas. There'll be little lounges
I was
that
gonna ask
Styen
that.
City,
Yeah.
that Styen City have very kindly let us. So it'll be like
Yeah.
very informal, where we will have what we call our nitwits, where you can bring your children and let your children learn a craft. If they don't get it at school, they can certainly learn it at the event.
Mm.
And that's one of their objectives, and to get them to come and learn a craft, take it away, pass it on, teach his siblings, that sort of thing. So, yeah, 9 to 3 p.m. on the 18th of
On
July.
the 18th
I mean, 18th of April. Pardon me,
of April.
of
That's
April.
fine. I see the confusion. Or the so yeah. Yeah, man. I just wanted to wrap up saying that you said that the guys can just go onto the 67blankets.com website where they can find information
The event.
about the event, and they can go book their tickets. It's a family day event, so bring your whole family. There's, as you mentioned, everything, food, crafts. And
Everything.
just to bring it back to the point we made earlier on, I find that incredibly interesting that you guys are using, especially the primary school element, where you're sort of imprinting that thing in the beginning, because, that's when the brain is still in the development phase. And
Mhm.
crocheting is a very, hand-eye coordination, so creativity, exercising your creativity. And there's also the community in and around that, and then that's just
Yeah.
fantastic.
You know, just
But I think we'll continue. Bring
just
coming.
in just in closing, as you said, eye and hand coordination and stuff like that for many, many years, and people might be very surprised at it, that we have great support, and we support them, and they make the most incredible blankets, and they are from the Blind Society in the South. They can't see.
Mm,
They learn the technique and the stitch and everything by feel and touch and everything. And some of the blankets that those people produce are just incredible. So, it's not restricted to sighted people.
mm, yeah.
It's for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I mentioned, man, there's something really cool in being creative every single day. Creativity, just for my listeners, is also not just artistic expression. Creativity or being creative also helps you in other aspects of your daily life. Problem solving, for example, which is something I think that we could use more and more in 2026.
Yep.
And also just working with your hands, sort of that break, or to take that break from your device, from your phone, from technology.
Uh-huh.
And there's actually quite a big thing globally around that as well. This is completely off topic, but with that, people successfully managed to sue Meta 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. There's a real global look when all these major nations to see what other alternatives they can offer children. as opposed to just, just be tethered to the device 24/7. So I think that's actually quite brilliant. And
Well,
just sort of in closing, Olinda, oh, yeah, you want to come in?
no, no, no. I just wanted to say we were very privileged, very, very privileged. Um, and we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Minister of Correctional Services a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And in the prisons, the prisoners crochet and make blankets as part of the rehabilitation program. Now, to me, that is probably one of the finest. Oh, you got
No, 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 I'm here. I can hear you.
uh,
You can continue talking.
that is probably one of the finest rehabilitation uh, pastimes, and they contributed so greatly to a lot of the projects that we have done. And just to see their their pride, and it's quite incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I get that. There's something strange happening here. There's two of you
Yeah,
on my
yeah.
screen. Not sure. But I'll edit all that out, so
All right,
don't worry
all
about
right.
that. And I think we can wrap up anyway.
Okay, okay.
Lynn, thank you very much for coming through, my brother. I really enjoyed it. Very, very interesting stuff. Really interesting stuff. Just quickly, I will put this episode out later on in the week, probably on Wednesday.
That would be
And
Wednesday. Wednesday.
I usually chop the episode up into shorts, so that's like 1 minute 20 seconds, 1 minute 45-second clips, which I also publish on all my social medias. I usually do that a few days later, and that's always cool to keep the content relevant and so forth. And I'll be tagging 67 blankets with all of that, with regarding to all of that, and I'll let you know when the episode is live. But thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you. Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your long weekend.
Thank you, and thank you,
But
and
yeah, stay safe.
giving us a chance to
Voice and
voice and maybe talk to another
maybe talk to
audience that
another
we couldn't
audience
talk
that
to
we couldn't
before.
talk to before. 100%, my brother. Thank you very much
Take
for
care,
coming
bro.
through and
Take
enjoy
care,
your long
bro.
weekend. Huh?
And you.
Yes,
And you.
bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.